You got entrepreneurial spirit. Here's one for you, right? Where I used to work, they opened up a place down the road from us, which was a post office, right? But it was a post office in a shop,
Yeah.
and the shop was sort of like it sold things like bread and newspapers and tin food and that sort of thing, but it was also an off license. And I always
Right.
thought that was a really good idea because of the fact they know that we had loads of people coming into us, getting their cash from the benefits, going straight in there, cashing it and spending it.
Yeah.
It's like a sort of circular thing. It's a circle of life.
Yeah, it is sort of life. Get the money, spend it.
Yeah.
Wish you had.
You claim the money, you get the money paid to you, you spend it on the booze, and then you go down the road and go into the hostel because you've got nowhere to live because you've been spending all your money on the booze.
Yeah.
It's an ecosystem all on its own.
It is. It is. It is really. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. That is quite a clever thing, really. It's like if you go into a deprived area, a deprived estate, the shops there will probably be a chicken shop,
Yep.
an off license,
Yep.
and a bed shop.
Yeah. And you'll probably have a little corner shop that sells the Sun and the Daily Mail
Yeah.
and a few essentials like Rizzlers and cigarettes.
Yeah.
And maybe some food. You never know. And they'll probably take things like it used to be that they would take milk tokens when they used to produce milk tokens for families. These shops would take milk tokens for cigarettes.
Oh, really?
They weren't supposed to, but they would.
Hmm. The yeah, and I don't know how I feel about there being a cash point on the wall outside a betting shop. That's kind of
See, I don't mind that as long as it ain't one you have to pay for to use. That
it's a
annoys
bit
me.
like throwing fire and oily water.
Eh? Yeah.
I've never tried that.
No. Nor have I, to be honest, but there you go.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about maybe it's because going back things. Maybe it's because of the cookery programs or whatever.
Yeah.
Been thinking about getting a bit more adventurous with food and
Yeah.
what food I make. But the problem I have is that my adventures when it comes to food don't always work out as well as maybe they should. Sometimes they're really good. Sometimes I do things and they go, oh, it's kind of like, oh, that's different. That's really nice. I really like that. And then other times I do things like I made a liver korma once,
Right.
which was really disgusting. Because liver is far too strong a meat to try and make a korma out of, and it really was revolting. And then I did salt fish and ackee with greens. Now the problem with that is that ackee and the greens are salted, and the salt fish is in salt. And I didn't know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to drain the ackee and the greens out and run them under cold water to wash some of the salt off. And the fish are supposed to soak it overnight to get rid of a lot of the salt out of it. I didn't do those things. So what we had was something that you put in your mouth and it sucks all the moisture out of your mouth and left you going and it made it very difficult to breathe.
That's a bit the strange thing though is you kind of you make something called saltfish and then you leave it overnight so all the salt comes off. I don't understand this.
Well, I think the salt is it gives it flavour, but it also
Preserves it.
what's that? That's the word, preserves. I was going to say cures it, but I don't know why I was going to say cures it because I don't know if it had a disease.
No. And if you put salt on a wound, it doesn't cure it, does it?
No. Well, no, but it stops it being a wound.
Does it?
Yeah, it kind of makes it go. It dries it up. draws the skin together.
There's something else I won't be trying.
As well. Vinegar on a wound, that's quite interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I've got that feeling like when I imagine putting a screwdriver in my belly button. Oh, no.
Why did you imagine putting a screwdriver in your
I
belly?
don't know. It's just, you know, I have no idea why, but I wish I hadn't.
See, I used to be a butcher.
Yeah.
Some people still say I'm still quite ham-fisted now, but I used to cut up all this cold meat and offal and stuff, and you had this really sharp, big knife, and I'd cut it all up, and then after that, I'd wash my hands. But the problem was because I've been handling all this stuff out of the cold store, my hands had gone numb. So it wasn't until I washed them under the hot water I realised how much I'd cut my fingers. Because as I washed them under the hot water, it started stinging. And one time, I stupidly, I was cutting things up, and I wiped my hands off, and most of the blood came off. And somebody came in and said, "What a chip!" And I went, "Oh yeah!" And I grabbed the chip out, and it had vinegar, and it was straight in the cuts, and it was like, ah!
It's a hard life being a butcher, isn't it?
Oh, I tell you, you don't know the half of it.
No.
No. Mind
I've
you,
never been one.
we used to have fun. You know, they have these electronic zappy things for the flies.
Yeah.
We used to have fun. I was only young, and there was a Saturday guy there who was a bit younger than me. And he used to get bits of mincemeat and little slivers of meat. And if you got it right, you could throw it through the bars of the zappy thing. It would get zapped and come out the other side. It'd be cooked enough for you to eat it.
What the hell?
That was good fun.
That is bizarre.
And the other thing is, people buy fresh mince. I mean, now they don't do it. You don't get butcher places in many shops now where they do their own mincing. But we used to do our own mincing. Just walk around with handbags and everything. Hello. No, we used to do our own meat mincing. And if you cut your finger at the butcher's, you have to put a blue plaster on.
Yeah.
Because it shows up in the meat. Well, it doesn't if you push meat into a mincer and the plaster comes up in the mincer and then the plaster goes through the mincer. It just looks like a vein.
Oh, lovely.
I did lose a couple of plasters in the mincer a few times. So my apologies to anybody that used to shop in Edgware for their fresh mince.
There's a butcher shop opened up. I mean, a proper old-fashioned butcher that just does meat like butchers do.
Strange that most butchers there, they sell windows and bricks.
Exactly, and it's very confusing. But they so it opened up on Queen's Road, and I thought that'll never last. You know, there's been so many different kinds of shops in there. There was a wedding dress shop in there called Great Expectations. And I thought that's got to be the most inappropriately named wedding gown shop ever.
It's quite good. I quite like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Buy a wedding dress and go home and sit in it, jilted like for 1,000 years.
What's her name? What's that name? Her name? That bird. What did that in that story?
Can you be more specific?
It was a thing in something or the other where some was and that. Yeah. Anyway.
Do you mean in a more recent one where the woman who played Scully played Miss Havisham?
Maybe.
Yeah, and I can't remember her name.
But
was it Bert Kwok?
Bert Kwok. But you know, yeah.
Yeah, but fortunately, really, I was going to say, it is fortunate, really. This butcher's shop has thrived,
Thrived.
especially in the crisis. There's no queues down the road because people would, and he's never out of stuff. And the food is slightly expensive, but it's unbelievably nice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I tell you what we
no,
used to do. I tell you what we used to do, which was always a good seller all year round. When we used to have butcher stuff. We used to get stuff that was slightly out of date that people wouldn't pay for.
right.
So because we used to pack it all ourselves and that sort of thing, we used to open the packets up and put it into a metal container a sealed metal container in this cold store. And you'd put all of that in there. You'd also put all the offcuts of meat and all the bits of fat and gristle and all that kind of stuff in there, right? When it was full up,
You used to send it to Frey Bentos.
no. When it was full up, we'd seal it down and we'd put it in the freezer. No, we
Right.
wouldn't. Say that again. When it was full up, we'd seal it down and we put it into one corner of the cold store. Then on a Saturday after we closed, I would mince it through the mincer. The mincer would be cleaned. We use a rough mincer, which has holes about this big.
Right.
You put it through the rough mincer, fill up.
Isn't that a sausage maker?
Not quite.
No.
Sort
Yeah.
of chipolata sausage, maybe.
Mm.
But you put it all through there, mince it all through there until it fills up the metal tray. You seal that down and then put it in the freezer. Okay, and you fill up as many metal trays as you could with all these offcuts, and then you pack them in the freezer and they would freeze. And then on Monday we would come in and they'd be frozen. And first thing Monday morning, there was an Irish guy who used to work there called Tom, and his job was he would get them out because he used to use the bandsaw. We had a bandsaw for cutting up carcasses and things like that, so you could get shoulder of lamb and all that sort of thing. And he would get these things out and he would cut them into blocks about sort of, I don't know how big it is really, sort of about the size of a small brick, I suppose.
Mm.
And he would cut them into blocks and we would wrap them all up and we would sell them frozen as dog meat.
Yeah.
And people would buy them and stew them and give them to dogs.
Oh, God. Can you imagine the smell that made cooking? Oh.
Good quality meat. Well, not good quality meat actually, but meat. Yeah, it was shite, but it was meat. And if you cook it for long enough, it's not just meat in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose the dogs eat it.
When I was at one point when I was living in a squat in West Hampstead.
That's a nice place for a squat.
It was a very nice place for a squat. We were just round the corner from recording studios where Finn Lizzie and Mark Bolan and Moody Blues recorded stuff.
Tony Visconti or something would have been
Something
there.
like that, I can't remember. And there was a pub on the corner where a lot of them used to play as well. But this was years before I moved there. But when I lived there, I was working as a shoe repairer. But I couldn't afford a place, so we lived in the squat. We didn't have much money because I was only an apprentice and the other people living there, most of them were unemployed. We didn't have much money, but we worked out, we used to go around the corner and we used to buy tins of stuff that were dented or broken or whatever, and tins of stuff that had no labels on them. So you just open it up,
good game.
see what it is. What we got for dinner tonight? No idea. Let's have a look. Oh, look, peaches.
Yeah.
What else? Curry sauce. Peaches in curry sauce. That'll do. But one of the things I found out was, and this is absolutely true, you should try it sometime, okay, is if you buy a tin of pie filling, like you got Frey Bentos, or there's lots of other ones, Stag do them and a few things like that, right? Of like
Thank you.
Stag do them, yeah. So it's just like meat in a gravy for filling a pie with, right?
Yeah.
So you open it up and empty it into a bowl, okay? Then open up a tin of, which one is it? Is it Chappie? One of the ones that's just meat in gravy,
Yeah,
right? Not one of the solid ones.
yeah.
Like
Chappie. Yeah.
might be Chappie. You open it up and you empty that into a bowl, and they look and smell identical. If you whack loads of curry powder in it, you can't tell the difference. Whack loads of curry powder in, cook it for a long time so that it's tender. Nobody knows.
But it's probably actually the same kind of stuff that Tom in your butchers used to make and sell as dog food.
Quite possibly.
Cubed.
Quite possibly. But the thing is that when you've got no money,
You will eat anything,
you will eat anything. We used to eat a lot of rice because
including Fray Bentos.
I used to manage when I got my money. I used to go out and buy a huge sack of rice, which would sit in the corner of the kitchen, and we would just eat. At some points, we got to the point where we would be eating. We would have a tin of tomato soup between four of us, and a bowl of rice. That was it. So you'd have a bowl of rice with a scoop of tomato soup in the middle of it. Good old days.
Yeah. That's fairly Ukrainian. They like that kind of stuff. There's
Oh dear.
I always thought Ray Bentos could be the guitarist with Sepultura.
Yeah, I'm sure he was at one point. I don't know.
Yeah. Featuring Ray Bentos guitar. That's Argentinian, isn't it, Fray Bentos?
Fray Bentos is Argentinian. What's the other one? I don't know. But you used to get those pies, didn't you? Those pies you could cook in the oven that were the tin that the pie was in was part of what you had it out of.
Yeah.
Because all it was a load of meat in gravy with some pastry over the top.
Yeah.
And you just used to take the top off and then shove it in the oven.
Yeah.
See, things have changed. I remember I was talking to someone the other day. When I was a kid, now, I don't know if you remember this. When I was a kid, there was a thing that you were supposed to cook things like beans, right? You were supposed to open the top of them and stand them in a saucepan of water and boil the water in the saucepan and cook them in the tin.
I don't remember that. No, I do remember something being cooked in a tin.
I remember that. I remember that was why everyone was supposed to, because there was a really awful, really racist joke about an Irishman saying, I did what it said on the tin, which was to open the tin and then stand in boiling water, and now I've burnt my feet.
Yeah, good old jokes.
Yeah. Anyway, but there you go. So yeah,
I think my granddad was put in a tin, stood in boiling water.
was he?
Yeah. Well, the Japanese, 1944, Burma.
God, those were the days.
You don't get times like that anymore.
No. My dad was my dad was
Pedo.
he well, they were probably a couple of times. He was on aircraft carriers on up north, up above the Arctic Circle.
Why?
Where it was froze.
You know much call for aeroplanes up there.
Well, yeah, they were supporting the Russian convoys.
Oh,
which were taking food from
Vladivostok.
Well, they were taking food into Russia from other places and out of Russia to other places, and that to keep a supply chain for the forces.
Right.
And they were
Very nice.
constantly under attack by U-boats.
Mm.
Anyway, he never talked about it much, but I've learned about it since by reading a book.
Written by your dad?
No, it was written by another bloke, but it was about
His dad?
It was about Russian convoys and about one of the things. It was actually about the boat that my dad was on,
Which was what, the HMS
Vindex.
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 That's an unusual name for a boat.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from, really. Somewhere north, maybe.
Yeah, HMS Rolodex.
HMS Index.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the ship that had the list of other ships on it. All the ships were listed on this ship.
Yeah, and of course the Germans would have wanted that list.
Absolutely, but they hadn't reckoned on the
aeroplanes.
They hadn't reckoned on the aeroplanes, or apparently, as one of the few things that my dad told me, the sailors bending over on the flight deck and lighting their own farts. Which was apparently a constant form of entertainment.
I guess that's why they call those sailors brave.
That's why they call them fart asses. I don't know. It's I guess it's what they call it, the blues.
I guess that's what they call it, the blues.
The blues. I don't know. It's a funny.
Oh, it is really, and it's. I just think that back to the lockdown thing. There's a lot of things I prefer about it. The roads are empty. Everything's quieter. People queue in a very civilised manner.
Yeah.
Shops are much better to be in. Neighbours are friendlier.
There's less people. See, it's an interesting dilemma I have. I don't really do very well in my own company for too long. I need other people.
Yeah.
To be in my life and to be around me for me to kind of bounce things off and to talk to and things like that.
Yeah.
Only the ones I want to be there.
Well, yeah.
And the problem is that 9 times out of 10, it's not them that I come in contact with every day. It's the idiots and the arseholes who are just out in the streets, and their only purpose there is to annoy me. I know it is. There is no other reason for them being on the earth because they are complete idiots.
Yeah, we would be better off without them.
Yeah.
But they won't be the people catching COVID-19, will they? Like Boris Johnson. All these decent people dying of it, and that bastard managed to survive.
Well, he reckons he caught it. I don't reckon he caught it. I think it was. See, I think I was really behind the thing that they had on Twitter for him, right? Because he hadn't suffered enough from the COVID-19 thing. So when I saw there was a hashtag saying "clap for Boris," I thought that's a good idea. He should get the clap.
Yeah, that's right.
The better person to get the clap than Boris Johnson.
Yeah. I saw something that was boo for Boris.
Boo for Boris?
There was a boo for Boris. You go out your house, boo, 8 o'clock. It's true.
I just, it's just seeing all these people, seeing all the videos of all these people leaning out of their windows and singing and shouting and things like that. All that was going through my head was I kept having this scene playing over in my head.
Yeah.
of a middle-aged man going, throw open your window, put out your head and say, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. But then I've always been a big fan of Network, so...
I've just read something.
What?
Someone I'm in the band with, actually.
Huh?
I've just read something. So one of the bands I'm in, I put this version of Higher Ground on there by Dave Weckl. And our drummer's really into it. And he says, oh, I'll start working on that on that tomorrow. I have as much chance of playing it than a cat with no neck winning a butt-licking competition.
Well, it's reasonable, I suppose.
This is the same bloke who was standing at a bar somewhere years ago, and this rather attractive young lady kind of walked up to him, and he's just standing there, and said, do you fancy getting me a drink? So he pulled an empty glass off the board, poured half his lager into it, and gave it to her. Cheeky cow.
I don't think that's what she meant.
I don't think it's what she meant either. I doubt he pulled.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I've only just noticed, you don't look at yourself very often. Well, I don't. Not if I can help it. Not if I can help it. Anyway, I only just noticed I've got little piggy eyes, haven't I? Horrible little piggy eyes. Big, huge round head, size of a watermelon. Little titty eyes that are right set back in the depths of the holes.
Mm. You all right with that?
No, not really. God, I'm an ugly git. Bulbous nose. More chins than the Chinese, what's name? No idea what I'm talking about now.
No.
I've got wrinkles going right the way back to there.
You have, actually.
I look like a Klingon.
Yes.
I don't need a Cornish pasty stuck on my head. I've got the Klingon bit already.
You know. I'm gonna have to make a move in a minute. Apparently dinner's ready.
Is it?
Not that I've made it, of course. I've been talking to you. But,
well, that's good, because otherwise it would have been incredibly clever.
Yeah, or incredibly burnt.
Yeah. Well, I okay.
Yeah. Right. Nice one.